say, what kind of pressure that people don't look at, especially when you're at the forefront. You feel like everybody's chasing you because there's that pressure of not wanting to drop. And it got to a point where it was just like, pew, pew, pew. I can't come and kill myself. Do you understand? The way I overcame is...
Somebody say, oh my God.
Hey, oh my God, multi-blow.
Oh my God, you've blown. I should be the one saying I've blown.
I'm starstruck. You will know, you won't understand. As in,
I am starstruck. I think I should share a backstory. So it's amazing that today is actually my first time meeting the amazing Emma, oh my God, in person. I've been following him for 9 years, since 2014, and gosh, I've been wanting to meet you in person, but it's amazing.
I believe you are, outside my wife and my daughter, you are the only one also that is authorized to actually use that word #1 fan. Because you have the fact that you have, they should see the way you preach my gospel to your full family. They should put it in seminary churches so that we'll use that to be preaching the gospel of Jesus. Like,
you deserve
through
it.
you, your whole family loves me, your dad, your mom.
No, they think you're amazing. It's so funny.
After it took us 9 years.
9 whole years.
Okay.
And it's actually so funny that when my wedding was approaching in 2021, I really wanted you to MC at the wedding. But it's funny, at that time, my dad didn't know you. I kept on saying, Emma, oh my God. He's like, who is this Emma, oh God? I'm like, Daddy, it's not Emma, oh God. It's Emma, oh my God. But wow. But honestly, it's really great to have you here. And for people that are new to my channel, my name is Dahun Kende. And as you know it, I'm here with the amazing Emma, oh my God.
As person love you so much to the point that even our fiancé will don't become my husband. Say any lati calling for more. No. So when it touched me, when I knew that they don't adopt me, I'm already your fan. Is when your dad called me to tell me that you gave birth. And
honestly, it's family. Honestly, he's now part of the family.
Thank you so much.
Wow, but welcome everyone to this channel. And in today's video, I'm going to be interviewing the amazing Emma. Oh my God, he is my favorite, should I say, entertainer. And just sitting here with him is a huge privilege. And I'm always so curious to learn about his story because I'm pretty sure it's not only going to inspire me, it's also going to inspire others out here because it's amazing how a lot of people see people that have, should I use the word blown, and they don't understand the backstory, right? They don't understand the sweats. I know my pastor doesn't like this word. They don't understand the hustle that has happened behind the scenes. And the purpose of this video is really to dive into, can I call you Emma? Emma's story. And yeah, so that we can learn, so that we can be encouraged and whatnot. So my very first question is, I know I started off with Emma, oh my God.
OMG, it's Emma, oh my God.
How did you come up with that name? What's the story behind that name?
So back in school, uni.
Yes.
I used to be called Emma then, you know. We were even, it became one time where they called us Emma and Emma. So whenever I go on stage, I'll just, you know, somebody say, oh my God, oh my God. Somebody say, oh my good God. That was my identity, you know, and people loved it. They used to scream, you know. So when I finished, I was working in a radio station and somebody at the time, was it Lolo or someone, told me that, you should patent this thing, you know.
Really?
And I just thought of it that, okay, so I just added it to my name, and that name is actually patented, you know.
Are you serious? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah, so I patented it then. It got to a point, some people were like, you're calling God's name in vain. This, that, you know, the
people
way we're
always
in
have
this
that opinion.
So that's when I now shortened it to EmmaOMG, and I was like, oh, yeah, it's even cool to be EmmaOMG.
I know. But are you, I mean, do you know why they even used to say, oh my God, when you would come on stage?
Yeah, because I told them to say it. So it was just a cool thing.
Okay, I see.
Say, oh my God, then they respond, you know.
I see. I thought there was like a deeper backstory, but that's cool.
No, but now, spiritually, I've also related it, you know, to the way God deals with me. You know, when the Bible says the path of the righteous will keep shining brighter and brighter.
Amen.
And me saying, oh my God, means like God will keep surprising me and he will keep surprising me.
In Jesus'
like, oh my
name.
God, oh my God.
Wow, wow. I feel like now I have a deeper revelation about that name, honestly. No, but that's good to know. But now let's backtrack, right? I'm curious to know, I know I mentioned that I first found out about you in 2014, but let's go back. How did everything start? What year, okay, I guess let me frame my question differently. What got you interested in music, creativity, and when did that happen? What year was this, and what was basically the story behind all of that?
So it was literally innate, yeah? I loved music from when I remembered myself.
Oh, wow.
When I got conscious, I loved music. And the blessing was the kind of mother God gave me, you know. The deal we had was I should just be doing well in my studies. And she would support me. And thankfully, I was a bright kid.
Yeah.
I hope I'm still bright, but I was always first in class. Till
wow.
From beginning till maybe, was it SS2? When one girl was distracting me at that time, you know. But yeah, so I was, and my mom bought every musical instrument for me. Like I think the first musical instrument I learned how to play, and everything was I was self-taught. First, maybe I was either maybe between 6 and 8. I can't remember. A friend made a recorder out of pipe and wood, you know, and I found my way around it. I used to play it then. One day, and the thing is, that's why till now, you will be shocked that I'm not really a social guy. When you see me from afar, you think I'm really fun. But even this US tour, when I'm done with whatever I just stay indoors. I like to stay indoors. So it's been like that since I was a boy. I'll just be at home, do my homework, then start playing music at our balcony. So there was a day I heard a guy playing mouth organ. I liked it. You know, my mom bought it for me. Every single thing, piano, guitar, you know, she supported our music side. But I just really loved music. And even then, I used to, pocket money they give me, I'll keep it, buy, you know, then the first love was a cappella. From a cappella integrated to Lagbaja, to then Ronkenoli, to Barbara. So everything is, you know, you can hear an element of everything in my sound now, but music is, now the best way to put it is, I think is one of a major gift God gave me, you know, from the onset, because I just love music. Comedy was like a byproduct. Like, it was a product of circumstance, because my mom, single mom, I had a dad, but he had like 3 wives. He was a ninja. So he used to come see us like the beginning of every year, and that was it. So my mom, she used to go through a lot, you know. And she was a strong woman, but she would break down by herself in her room.
Yeah, which is understandable.
You know, and she would cry. I would see her then, and I wasn't the guy with soothing words. So what I used to try to do was to make her laugh. You know, that was where the comedy came across. And till now, it just became a thing that I wouldn't want to be in an environment that is, when I see that it's too serious or too dull, I want to break the ice.
Yeah.
You know, so that was how comedy started. Like, I got to Covenant, it was a very serious school. Just to, I've not been in that kind of serious environment before in my life. They gave us, as soon as we entered, there was this back-to-back training they gave us, and I thought that was how it was going to be. So at the first chance, they called it Variety Night. They told us to come and display our talents. I went to do comedy. I thought they were going to send me away, but it worked for good. Papa Bishop Boyedebo came. He laughed. Everybody, you know. Yes. Then I became the, you know, comedian of the school, stand-up comedian, like a star and everything. So comedy picked up from there. So people knew me for that. And I started doing MC, and it was used to pay the bills. But the love was always music, you know. And gradually, something led to the other, which is, you know, again, God ordered my steps, you know, because it felt like I was always taking the right decisions. But looking back, I just know that, why did I do this thing at this time? Why did I do? I realized that God really ordered my steps.
No, that's good. I really loved what you mentioned, like being intentional about lighting up the place. And I'll go back to the music aspect, but for the comedy aspect, around what age did you find yourself, like, of course, trying to make your mom laugh and other people laugh in general?
Making my mom laugh.
Probably when you were a child.
Yeah. But integrated to the first attempt at a general comedy then was when we used to go to praise nights in churches. So probably maybe I was 10, 11, you know, thereabouts. Praise nights, you know, when about 696 choirs to sing in the night, you know, and there will just be those moments. I'll just go and write my name down, please, I can crack jokes and everything. And, you know, gradually I was making names in the communities, then churches. But the big break, as I'll put it, was when I went to Covenant University, because one good thing that I appreciate our school for was our variety nights. They would gather all of us, the whole school, in one hall, and this was an audience of between 5,000 to 7,000 to 8,000. So everybody would see me, and I used to kill it then, you know, everybody would laugh. So I was like, a star. Like,
wow.
if I had that life now,
Yeah.
I'll be passing
That's
by
a
girls'
lot.
hostel, they'll be shouting my name. You know, the chancellor knew me. It was a real good one. But I think that was where I got my stage confidence and maybe stage manship, if I'll put it like that. I got that from,
No, that's awesome. And before I go to the next question, I have another follow-up question. I know you mentioned the music was innate. Was there anyone in your family that was into music? I mean, the reason I ask is because, like, of course, now I have a child. And it's funny that my husband and I are always talking about, like, the skills we want to develop in him. So I'm curious, like, with you, is it that there was someone musical in the family and your mom just saw that interest in you and she decided to support it by buying instruments? Like, how did all of that happen?
So there wasn't any serious, it was just a normal, random. My sisters were in the choir, but nothing out of the ordinary.
I see.
So I think it was just God. Like, God just was like, okay, let me put this in this. Although they said my dad liked music, sort of, but there wasn't anybody that really did serious music.
I see.
I think maybe I had a stepbrother that used to play the keys in churches and everything, but nothing deep.
I see.
So it was, and talking about you trying to, it's possible, sometimes skills are,
learned, right?
Yeah, and it's possible. A lot of whiz pianists nowadays start from children, they grab whatever you teach them, so when you get them a teacher, that was one thing I wished I had, but again, I guess not having it helps me develop my own style.
Yeah.
Because I self-taught everything, So over time, for example, playing the piano, I realized that there are shortcuts to some things I learned the hard way and everything. But that hard way opened my eyes to some other things I wouldn't have seen via the shortcuts. So I think, that's the difference. When it's innate, you would always find your way around. But when you learn, you do it formally and everything. So your intelligence would also help with that. So feel free. And I would even advise that everything, like, make your child try to learn everything. Over time, you will see the ones
that they are gearing towards. Yeah. Wow, I love that. I love that. So now let's dive into the creative aspects of you. So I mentioned, yes, I found out about you in 2014, and the very first song I heard was that Chris Brown in Ojure Legba.
I don't want to go there.
I don't want to go there. Then what was the other part of the song? When a rich Baba wants you, go boom, 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 boom.
When a rich Baba wants you, and your Baba can do nothing for you. This girl said loyal.
I really love that beat, and when I think when I saw that video, I watched it multiple times. I actually shared it on my Instagram because I know, like, today I was like, how did I find out about Imam? Like, I remember I shared one of his
Chris Brown retweeted it on Twitter then.
Are you
but
serious?
The thing was, somebody else posted it on their Kick. I don't know if you remember Kick back then.
No.
Somebody else posted it, then Chris Brown retweeted it. I woke up, my phone was blown up that day,
Wow. Okay, now so let's talk about that. I'm curious to know how you come up with some of your song ideas, because I heard Chris Brown in Ojure Legba. I also heard Aye Davido remix.
That was
when you were like, Davido, me I want designer, I want Ferrari.
Davido, me I want designer, me I want Ferrari. I don't want your love, oh. If you give me money, maybe I will consider. I will think about it.
Like, how do you come up with some of your ideas? Because they're so amazing and they're also so catchy. So what's the process?
I came across a verse in the Bible recently that says, God was asking Job a question, but it was more or less like a rhetorical question. It was like, who gives wisdom to the mind and understanding to the heart? That wisdom to the mind, you can break it down to creativity, And it makes me realize that whatever ideas you have, and you bring out, it comes across as brilliant. It's God that puts it in your mind, So that's a broad answer to that, But breaking it down further is, so I don't think it's a question of how did I come about, because obviously God made me creative.
God,
But it's more of a question of, I thank God for being in an enabling environment. Do you understand?
Okay.
So, there's a way you think of something and people make you feel like you're stupid. So I was just encouraged, so I was able to explore, but one of the early ways of expressions I had was those things, like it would just come to me that, and that time it was a big deal because there were not much crossovers from Nigeria to the Western world, so they were like the main stars. So I think the first thing I thought of then was like, how would it be if Ron Kenoly featured Atorishe? You know, was it Ron Canole featuring Ali Fele, then Dietrich Carden featuring Atoriche? You know, those things.
Yeah.
Then I would sit back and listen to their style of music, and I would now try to merge it together, you know, with the creativity and everything. So in fact, before I blew, quote and unquote, on Instagram, I had an album, comedy album, where I expressed all those things.
Yeah.
I probably will send that to you. I think I still have it, you know. So then when I came to Instagram, after the Aye Davido thing blew, that you can lie, and I saw that people, so I think enabling environment and the way people received,
Yes.
people liked what I was doing, so
Yeah.
it really encouraged me. But I don't know how they came to my mind, but I shall know that I would just think. And I was also very fast then, you know, like, because another thing I used to do was anything that was trending. For example, when I did Ajekun Iya Ni O Jẹ.
Àjẹkún ìyá ni ó jẹ ẹni tí ò tó ní nà tí ń dènà dé ní. Àjẹkún ìyá ni ó jẹ.
Àjẹkún ìyá ni ó jẹ. Àjẹkún ìyá ni ó jẹ.
Anything I see trending, I would
just-
quickly
yes,
musicalize
yes,
it, and
yes.
people will be like, "How come this guy did this?" You know. So I think I had a freedom of expression that I felt free to bring out whatever was in my mind, and
Yeah.
I was not scared that people would think I'm stupid because I was encouraged and it was
Yeah.
enabling, and that's what has given me more confidence and brought me to, by the grace of God, the level of creativity God has gotten us to now. Although we still have a lot to learn, you know. So I think it was about the enabling environment. Being in my mind, it was God. It was a gift from
Wow,
God.
that's
Creativity.
amazing.
Yeah.
And it's actually interesting how a lot of people are creative, but we're creative in unique ways. Because it's amazing how you were saying, like, for you would think about maybe like a westernized singer. What if they feature maybe this Nigerian Yoruba artist? And it's amazing that for me, like, the way I'm creative is also different. So it's just really amazing how everyone is gifted differently. And something I want to dive into is you mentioned enabling environments. So for you, like, what were the various communities or who were the people involved that helped enable you? I know you mentioned your fans as well, like how they received the things you did, but were there people like in your close circle, or maybe not necessarily people in your close circle? I really want to talk more about that.
For me, the major enabling environment is the home. When the foundation is destroyed, what can the righteous do?
Exactly,
If you have the best, like my mother was the best support system ever.
Wow.
God bless that woman.
Ah, Yani Wura.
No.
Wow.
So no matter, see, the worst case scenario, if I did something and people didn't like it outside, I would just go back to the drawing board and redo it because my mom supported me. And that was in a time where I remember that then I'll be carrying guitar that she bought for me around, you know, on the street, and her friends would be telling her, her friends that maybe their children are doing well in sciences and all those, they would tell her, boy, because they saw me as unserious. But I just thank God, because probably God knew where I was coming, He was taking me to. You know, because they would try to be talking to her like, I'm wasting my time. I even remember one time when I started learning the piano by myself, one man in our church then. So I would run to church, walk a long distance just to get the piano before choir rehearsals. He find me away. The man was now like, am I going to music school? I said no. He said, I'm wasting my time. And I sent his son. These are people that over the years, even the ones, you know, not trying to take pride but glorying in God, even the ones that were doing the science and everything, you know, God made the difference clear at the end of the day. So I thank God. And for me, enabling environment is family. When you have, same thing with marriage. When the video I made for my wife, that video I made, this is our Valentine video. When I told her something like, it doesn't matter whatever happens in the world, so far she's on my
corner.
Do you understand?
Yes.
When the home, when that place you go back to,
it's pleasant.
There's nothing that can happen from the outside.
Wow.
But I now thank God that I had that enabling environment, then I had good reception also outside, you know, which is the favor of God I've learned over the years, you know. Like God, and this is what I still enjoy now, because I look back, I'm like, what's the big deal? But people will tell you, wow, you know, and it's when God chooses to show His glory through you. So the major thing that even every other thing does not really work, over time the other things will work, is the enabling environment of the family, of the home. Because you remember even back then, there was a time that you are either a doctor or a lawyer, you have to be reading your book. If you are playing ball, if you are a very, do you understand? If you are acting, you're a useless person, you know. But now, thank God, God is making us understand better. See, you are even the one that is looking for the creative side of your children. That does not mean they're not going to school.
Exactly.
You build the education and you build their creativity, you know. So, enabling environment is the environment where you allow the child to bring out their best potentials. Like nothing nothing is allowed to waste.
Yeah.
You know, you grow everything, you know,
Yeah.
you have, you know.
I love
So
that.
it's the soil. you know.
Wow, I love that. So I guess the big learning, at least what my big takeaway from that is, and even to everyone out there, I mean, it's thinking about, are you creating that space for not just your children, your friends, your siblings to actually nurture that creativity? And before we go to that next question, the other question I have for you is, not everyone would have the luxury of having that enabling environment. So what would your advice be to other people that they really want to nurture a particular gift in them, but they just keep on having, I don't want to use the word setbacks, but they're not getting supported by those around them? What would be your advice to them?
But first of all, Sha, I just want to praise God for your life because of the amazing enabling environments He has given you from your original family
Yeah.
to your recent original family. Because as we are like this now, our husband is eating
Rice and stew.
rice and stew somewhere, just waiting for his wife, you know, supporting her. Some other husbands will be like, yeah, my lord, why are you wasting, you know? So the enabling environment is your place of rest.
Yeah.
And they are supporting whatever you are doing, you know. But again, so should we now say that if we don't find this enabling environment, should that hold us back? And that's where your question comes in, you know.
Yeah.
So for those of you that you just know that you have this thing in you, but your environment is actually not enabling, I think the first way, and I can say that with all confidence now because I've found out, you know, in other ways, when things get tight for me, the first way is to go back to that person. Because everything that you know how to do, every good thing that we have comes from God, you know. So everything is a gift from God. Everything, the fact that you just came to this life, you realize you know how to braid hair, or you know how to talk, or you know how to sing.
Yeah.
God put it in you. Do you understand? And God is expecting something back from that. So if He puts it in you, and where you are finding yourself now is not really encouraging that side of you, you go back to the person that gave it to you. And so you pray, you know, and that's what I'm trying to explain, because, you know, people have really taken prayer so cliche now that even when you talk about prayers, people are like, Baba, I beg, they are trying to escape. But trust me, prayer is still the master key. So just keep, you know, in fact, maybe whenever He's really giving you concern, at that point that you are really, really sad, because the Bible says His strength is made known in our weakness. You take it to Him at that stage, you know. Then, again, you find a way. If the preferred is not available, then the available has to be preferred, you know. If mountain does not go to Muhammad, Muhammad goes to the mountain. So if for some reason, the environment you have is not enabling, however you can, find an enabling environment for yourself. For instance, you know how to do something and your parents are forcing you that, which is a good thing, that you have to read, but they don't want to hear anything. Maybe when you go to the library, for instance, and everything, you know, thank God, whatever you want to do, you don't even need to get a teacher. There's everything, knowledge on the internet, you know.
Yeah.
So maybe you go to the library for 4 hours, 30 minutes out of that 4 hours, use it to develop that side of you. Because everybody would eventually familiarize with success.
Yeah.
You know, so when you've mastered that thing and you are winning in it, those people that are not enabling you, that they are the ones that will still come and say, you know.
Yeah.
So number one, pray. In fact, when you pray, God would always make a way. So it might not even be the way I said it, but overall is, do not be discouraged. Do not let it discourage you, you know.
Yeah, which is really good. And it's very critical to follow these steps, because it also reminds me of the Bible passage that talks about how we are the salt of the earth and the light of the world. So if you quench that light, you're not going to be able to minister to other people in various ways. So it's really important that you find ways to let your light shine, right? Tackle any challenge that is coming your way so that you can let that light shine. Awesome. So the other question I have for you is amazing how through the years I've seen your brand evolve, right? So earlier on, we're talking about Chris Brown in Ojo Elegba Aye, and back then it was kind of like, in my terms, I would say doing parodies, right? And after some time, you started doing Brother Pius, the Chronicles of Brother Pius. I think my favorite one was Blessings Without Collateral.
You even remember
I remember Blessing Without Collateral.
Put your hands together.
Listen, sing with me now.
Each of my money, we take colati, we take colati.
But as usual, he found a way out.
I know most of you are wondering why I'm singing that song in church. Although I'm also here wondering how come you guys know the song. But that's not the point. The point I'm trying to make here is the devil cannot bless you without collecting collateral. Whatever he blesses you with, he collects double. But God blesses you free of charge. The Bible says the blessings of the Lord makes rich and he has no sorrows with it. So this is what God is saying to you. You can have my blessing. You don't need collateral. You don't need collateral. I'm in love with you. Please give me your heart. Give me your heart.
And then I think after Brother Pius, I can't remember what else happened in between, but now you're also doing Faji Fridays and whatnot. I'm just curious to know how things evolved. Like I know these things would happen organically, but like what were things that happened that made you say, like, okay, maybe I won't do the parody, I'll start doing Brother Pius, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't a hard transition. But I really want you to speak about that because back to what I was saying earlier on, a lot of people look at people that have grown, like that have blown. Like, for example, people can be watching your Faji Fridays and be like, man, this guy is amazing, without understanding the types of videos you used to do back then, and even the video quality, how it wasn't so good before. But I feel like it's worth you talking about how things evolved over time so people would understand, like, yeah, basically the steps, some of the challenges that came across the way, and just some of the inspirations you got.
Yeah, I remember back then when I would edit a full video with my techno phone. There was a series
Wow.
I did, it's still on my YouTube, I called it Mom and Me.
Good afternoon, Junior. Oh, yeah, go and bring minerals for daddy. Okay, mommy.
Story of my mom, you know, it's still there, you know, so I feel you. And a couple of reasons per time make me transition from doing something to the other, you know. The first major reason back then was, and I don't say this proudly, but if you go back, a lot of the skit patterns, and shout out to everybody, a couple of them were like copied, you know, from some of the patterns I did. And one of the things I used to do back then was, once I did something, I realized that people have started copying. I jump on to do another thing, you know.
I see.
Like when I started one time was, you know this, that you would ask questions and you cut different clips to answer the questions. There was one I did about Don Jazzy, when it was me and Asari Dokubo, you know, then a couple of people started doing that. You know.
I see.
Even this one I said now that then I will think about somebody in Nigeria singing and featuring somebody abroad. A couple of people also jumped on that and everything. So one thing I realized about myself was I always wanted to be distinct from the crowd, unique from the crowd, you know. So my way was, once I noticed that a couple of people have started copying what I'm doing, I just jump on, and it wasn't hard to think about ideas. Then the second reason for also transitioning, you know, after doing that for a while, when I got married, because all these things I used to do, for example, that Brother Pius was so hectic. But then because I was passionate and I was single, I used to, you know, do it. Sometimes I'll do like 7 different characters. It could take like a whole, because I'll first, and I'm a perfectionist, so I'll first record the songs, produce beats and record by myself. Then shoot the videos, change characters.
And you used to shoot yourself
on green screen. Then edit them layers on layers.
So basically the full production was
it was a lot of work, you know. So when I got married, I didn't have time for those. So I had to think of something that was easier when I got married. So another factor again was pressure. Because I realized at one point that, okay, it was like I was now doing this thing. Because first of all, I did it because I was enjoying it. It got to the point I was doing this thing for the pressure that, oh, this number of likes, people are not liking. And this person that I just started, or this person that I put on, this person has passed me. It was becoming. So at that point, that was when I stopped skits. You know, I stopped for a long time. I was just like, wait, I need to get myself. I need to get back to the rhythm of doing things because I enjoy them first.
Yes.
As you know, and that was when the hymn thing started. Because, you know, that's why I said my story, because when I stop something and I move on to the next thing, it's as if it's as if I pre-planned it, because it's always like brilliant. But I see it now that it was God ordering my steps, you know. Because for instance, the hymn thing started one time. I was in my Surulere apartment and I was just missing my mom. You know, my mom passed since 2011. I was just missing her, and one thing I remember her for was the hymns. You know, so that the first thing I did was I did that. Then I was like, let me even see how this will sound with a cappella. So I've never been to all these white garment churches before, but I made a sutana. I wore it and I did Okay, I made that sultana for Akpako, bless him. Oluwa sonch me Akpako re. Then I now used it for this, Egbe me, and I put it online. And the acceptance was amazing. And people were like, it was blessing them. And that was how I started that. Started hymns, then I started doing those Yoruba praise sessions where I would, that one, I was like, let me even see how I would be. If there were 10 of me, I would have a full band.
I love this, your series.
I started, then what made me start a band normally was, I was like, let me see if this can be actualized, like putting these ideas in people's heads. So then I would call them for rehearsals, pay them, and they go. There was nothing, I didn't want to do anything beyond that. Yeah. But what now brought us out was when we started Faji, and what made us start Faji is another long story. You know, somebody did something that pained me and everything, you know, and at the end of the day, I was just like, shit, we cannot do our own show. So I wanted to do a show to celebrate my birthday because I missed my birthday because of that person or something, you know. And one thing led to the other. We were looking for one small restaurant to use. Before we knew it, somebody reached out that they will support us for Muson Center, which at that time was a big deal for me. And before we knew it, we did the first Faji Friday, which I did free, you know, work-based. Wow. But people were now commenting that we felt guilty that we didn't pay for this. The quality was so amazing. Please do another. Wow. Then we did another. Then, you know, we did another. And now it has become like a household thing where people even call us from the diaspora that they want to come to Nigeria, they want to book tickets, you know. How do you explain that? Did I see us getting there? I didn't have that foresight. Yeah. You know, but when you get to your destination and you see how far you have gone and how amazing you are doing, every good thing is a gift from God. Yes. So God brought me to this destination, you know. And one of the biggest blessings, I got this, should I say Rema recently, one of the biggest blessings you can have is the recognition of the hand of God. Do you understand? Like, it's good enough for a good thing to happen to you, but if you are not sensitive enough to give that glory back to God, to be like, God, now you do this thing, you are blocking more blessings that are coming, you know. Wow. So overall, this is the process, and more, the way I can explain it, but the summary is God has been creatively and intentionally just ordering my steps.
Wow,
you know?
wow. No, that's awesome. You said so many profound things that I want to dive deeper into. But before I go to those things, something I wanted to mention, because, I mean, you reminded me of it while you were talking. I remember learning a few years ago, there was something that someone said, you cannot steer a stationary car. So the person gave this GPS analogy that imagine putting a destination on your phone. You know, the GPS will not begin saying turn left, turn right until you start moving. And it's just really interesting because you had mentioned that you didn't see Faji Friday several years ago. But I'm pretty sure what got you to Faji Friday is you allowing God lead you. You started with what you knew today and you allowed God direct you. So I hope this is a learning for other people out there. Of course, if you're getting inspired by great people, don't just be what's the word? Intimidated by where they are, right? It took a process. So you start from what you have right now and move on as God leads you.
Imagine that same Faji now we're having Faji Canada.
I know 10 years ago.
Faji
where?
Canada next 5, and we're still we're bringing it to the US.
How did we get there? Honestly, yeah, I saw the flyer. I'm like, it's amazing. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure if you could look back 10 years ago to think about where you are today, to be like,
see, when I finished school, I was like, okay, I'm good. I know how to do all these things, but how do I make a living out of this? How, you know, at the point I felt like, am I wasting my life? Because a lot of my friends, all of them getting jobs, engineering firms. I studied electrical and electronics engineering. Wow. And I was a bright guy from secondary school. I was the chess club president. You know, I was all that, but I followed my passion when I got to uni. You know, and another thing that happened with uni was 100 level was so soft. My secondary school, they taught us a lot. They taught us beyond what they were supposed to teach us. Yeah. So everything we're learning on 100 level, I knew. So I didn't read in 100 level, and I had like a 2-1. Do you understand? In engineering. Yeah. So, but that broke my reading pattern. And that hooked me up on, because I now started, you know, recording myself in my room, going for gigs and all that and everything. And so it took my attention to my passion, you know. And again, it wasn't that I was even on serious with my studies in terms of passing exams, but the major challenge I had was I wasn't attending classes, and it was a big deal in Covenant University then. If you maybe 60% default or something, you automatically failed. Although, thank God, you know, God led us through all of that and everything. But looking at all that, you know, and I finished, and I was in a place of that, if I had known, I shouldn't have followed this passion or something, because how do I make a career out of this from that confused boy? you know, see how far God has brought.
We thank God. No, that's great. And I know we'll be wrapping up soon, but I have a few other questions. Something you had mentioned was one of the things that made you at least evolve, I mean, move to something else was when you realized you were getting lots of pressure from social media. I really want to dive into that because of the day and age we're in. The struggle, like, how do they put it? Yeah, goals, right? You go on social media, you see people's lives, you see what they're about, and it's just goals, goals, goals. And I want us to dive into that because I feel like some people would not even realize that even celebrities are also going through that social media pressure, because people like us, we see celebrities and we aspire to be like them. I want you to talk about that. So how did you overcome that pressure, like that, the desire to do things just to, should I use the term please people? Yeah, so how did you overcome that? Because I feel it's going to be very important for people in this age to hear about that.
So before I get into that, I feel like, you know, when you talk about pressure, a lot of people look at it. So the main pressure that people focus on is the oppressive pressure where you are not, you know, people are doing better than you, you know, like your mates are doing better than you. But there's a deeper kind of pressure that people don't look at. When you are successful, there's a bigger pressure, especially when you are at the forefront. You feel like everybody's chasing you because there's that pressure of not wanting to drop. And there's no how.
You want to stay relevant.
There's no, there will just be another brilliant person that will just, and it's mad because it's a battle that you are fighting, you know. And it was a pressure because by the grace of God, you know, although a lot of people have gone further, they are doing way better. But I was one of the first people that, you know, got big in the social media space in Nigeria. So then it just got, and it got to a point where it was just like, pew, pew, pew. And it was, do you understand?
People rising.
So it felt, I was like, it was such, and, you know, the way I overcame it, first of all, I believe it's the grace of God, because then I wasn't even really a prayer guy, you know, but I thank God for the realization of the fact that I can't come and kill myself. Do you understand? I had to first pause and get out of it and just come back and be like, why did I start doing this thing in the first place? Okay, I just want to do this thing because I enjoy doing it. Because that's, see, that's the original, that's the source. I was telling somebody today that one thing we need to pray for that would help us find God's purpose for our lives is God should put the passion, the love for what He wants us to do. He should put it in our life. When you really love that thing, you know, no matter the challenges you face, you will just want to keep doing it. So I realized that I had to get back to that space where I do something because I love it, and I did it at my own pace. That's how I do music now. I do music to please God, but not, I do what I want to hear at the time I want. I don't do it because I want to satisfy people. So you need to get to that point where you don't want, because you will never get to satisfy people. In fact, the more you satisfy people, the more people praise you. Trust me, you are in more danger. Because I've done that experience a lot of times. There was one time a brand hired, you know, for influencing back then when I was still big on that skit thing. They hired me and Nedu. Then Nedu I my very good friend, by the way. And I came up with the concept for them that to trend, me and Nedu should just fight. You know, like we planned the fight and everything, and we started. If you see the way people were insulting me, insulting us, even to our friends that we would have expected that they would message us, they went to drop this thing. I'm so disappointed. So it's almost like maybe
you're trying to do what will make people happy. What you've seen has made other people happy.
And it's almost like 60% or 70% of people cheering you on are just even cheering you, hoping that you will fall one day. Do you understand? Like they are not really fully happy for you. So real happiness lies in loving yourself, enjoying what you are doing without any, at that point, that is when you will get organic love, in the sense that you love what you are doing. You are not looking at anybody. So whoever is now coming to enjoy that thing, you are not doing under the pressure to satisfy them. You know. Then again, find a way to eliminate unhealthy competition. Don't be in competition with anybody. Don't because that way you keep looking at your back. How do you feel, baby? And you can't be under
too much pressure.
You can't be relevant for life. You know. So find that peace. And overall, you know, the biggest testimony for me now, Sha, is connection with God, you know, which is activating your personal, private life with God, you know, your one-on-one time with God, you know, where you talk to God and, you know, that is where you get the manual for your life.
Wow.
And once you have all those things in place,
Wow.
nothing can shake you.
No, that's deep. So
Yes.
cultivate your personal relationship with God. Don't be in competition with anybody at all, and focus on loving what you do genuinely, and everyone else, every other thing will fall in line. Yeah. Wow. So now let's switch over to challenges, because earlier on you had mentioned that there was a time you did Faji Fridays and you did it for free. Has there also been a time where it was actually you charged people for Faji Friday but you didn't make profits? Because I know you have sponsors, right? Various companies and whatnot. Of course, you still have to pay the band, you have to pay the venue, like there are all of these expenses that come, right? So are there times, I guess let's talk about times where it was more of a loss, right? You didn't make profits. How did you navigate that financially?
Yeah. So the first Faji Friday was for free because I was trying to show people what we had.
Which makes sense, yeah.
So then from the next one we started, and Turn Up has been amazing in the sense that we always sold out tickets. But the only time we made profit was the second edition. That was when somebody proposed and all those things happened.
This one is too heavy for my mouth to say. Our sponsors, Middle Chase, listen.
A trip to Dubai in January.
So Fuja just told me, you have to wait for it. They say all the food for your wedding, they are carrying it. Then they say, after your wedding, 6 months food supply for free. Fine, baby.
So we had a lot of sponsors for that one. So because we had sponsors, we made profit. Which the profit I shared amongst the band, I gave people, and that's one. I didn't touch it, but since then, there's not been profit on Friday.
Oh wow!
So
it's just been one time.
That
the profits.
There's not been profit, not because we didn't sell out, because of the quality of production I go for. It's always more expensive, and it always falls back on me.
Oh wow!
So in fact, this is the first year that I'm not doing it from a place of unrest.
Wow. Sorry, I just want to clarify. So you said out of all the Faji Fridays you've done, there's only been one time you've made profit. That's amazing, but please go on.
Yeah.
Wow.
Faji Friday, so we did the first one June 2019. The one we did in December 2019, I think that's the one we call 2.0. That's the only one. 3.0, 4.0, 5.0, they were all losses.
Wow.
People bought tickets, but production cost was more. So it fell back on me. Wow. I empty my account for Faji Friday.
Wow.
I always empty my account. And so whenever I was coming, my heart would always beat. And it's a gospel thing. People don't really, all the sponsors know they don't like God thing. Like that, do you understand?
Yeah.
So, and I even got to the point where I'm like, I don't want to disturb myself again, But my heart was always, but this year, for some funny, and this is the year we are doing the biggest, because we are doing a bigger hall and everything. And it's not like I have anything set out, but God just gave me that rest this year.
Wow.
That I'm not even bothered and everything, But overall, it's still a blessing because God created that avenue for us to connect with people. And I think God is also conditioning my mind because like I told you, even the one that we had profit, first of all, I paid somebody in my band, paid rent, I sent, I made sure everybody was happy, and I think God conditioned my mind that I shouldn't do this thing because I'm looking for money. And again, no matter how, like immediately we finished all the previous sessions, I will not lie, let me open up to you. As soon as we finished those previous sessions, I was always in debt because I had to sort out things and everything. Yeah. But God always sorted me out. Do you understand? God always sorted. And God made sure also that He gave me, like, He sorts out my living in a way that it makes me comfortable from other. He's giving me a lot of skills. Do you understand? He's giving me a lot of. So, and I strongly believe that He's not wanting me to look at that. Because, so it doesn't want me to get to the point that the reason I'm doing Faji Friday is because I want money. That's why I laugh when we put out the tickets and people are like, why are you charging this? Why, they don't even know that it just goes on half of the production cost.
Wow.
Meanwhile, it's also because of the quality of excellence I'm pursuing. Because there's a way I can run it and it won't be half as excellent. I won't use the kind of equipment and I would actually, because I don't want to go into figures, but last year, we sold really good. People bought tables online and everything. But at the end of the day, we still spent more than we sold. You know,
Wow.
I'll give you the figures when we are done. It was we sold a very good figure, but we still ended up spending more than we sold
Wow.
because of what we were going for. You know,
Wow.
but overall, it's not a regret because it's one avenue that God has used me to connected me to the heart of people that love me. You know,
I see.
and the blessing I found that Friday has been for me and the band is the joy is putting in the hearts of men and the honor God is giving us in the sight of men, and that the love is bringing. I will be traveling, a man will meet me that my wife is your number one fan. Oh, wait till you give my wife. I will say a woman, my husband is your number, the one that is busting my head. When I was in California, they brought a 4-year-old, a 5-year-old. I'm like, how do these people know me? They say they love your song, they sing your song. Do you understand? So God is, and one of my major prayers back then and still now is like, God should make me a household name, and God is really doing that.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, also He makes all things beautiful in His time. And again, it's like chemistry trying to balance equation. When at the end of the day, even when I say I run into there because of Friday, but I know they're hungry, God still sorts me out at the end of the day. So it's still a, you know.
Wow.
So
No,
yeah.
that's a testimony. So I know you had mentioned as well that, of course, you're doing multiple things. So even though maybe like there may not be profit from Faji Friday, you're also being able to, of course, compensate from the blessing of God, but also from the other areas you're involved in. That's good. I think that's also a learning that, I mean, cast
One
your
road, no
net.
entire market.
I know, cast your nets wide. Wow. And as we wrap up, another question I have for you is, I know there was a time we were talking and you mentioned you edit your Faji Friday videos.
So
Is that?
the first and second Friday I didn't edit. I just corrected some things. But there was a disappointment, I can't remember, maybe from the third or whatever, you know, a major disappointment that I now started, you know, getting the raw files and just started editing by myself, you know. But from the last Obani Jesu concert, also somebody, first the camera team did an amazing job, then somebody edited. But what I will now still do is get the project file. Because again, by the grace of God, I am the creative, like everything that happens in that band, even to every single note everybody plays. To the glory of God, though, it comes, so it's like an inspiration from God to me, and I stream it. Like, that's why when you see me on stage sometimes, I'll be like, that's not, give me the right progression, that, you know, because there's an expectation, you know. So I know what is supposed to go on at every point. For instance, you edit the video and at the point I'm like, Awaya!
Awaya yeda. Fun.
And Awaya is playing, but because maybe you don't know what Awaya is, you are not showing it. For okay, this love thing, if me that I dropped about my wife.
Yeah.
The intro where when I was talking, and I finished talking, and the couple kissed. I edited that.
Okay, okay.
So that kissing was from another part of the song, but I felt like it would match as I just finished kissing. Do you understand? So it seemed like they did it at that point.
Yeah.
So it's the. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
because you are the creative mind, you know what is supposed to go at some point. So even when somebody else edits, like now, thank God I didn't have to edit it, and I believe that this is Friday, that team will still handle it. But I will still get the project file to make sure that the right things are in the right place. You know. So
yeah, and that just brings me to my last question about time management. Because if you're doing all of these things, you also have a family, you have a wife, you have a child. So like, how do you manage your time?
So first of all, the blessing for me is the fact that all of us are doing the same thing. Do you understand? My wife is also a content creator and everything, you know. But like I told you, a lot of things I had to stop. A lot of things I used to do that I had to stop, you know, because now I have a family and everything. But because this is my full-time job, you know, and also marriage and raising my daughter is also my full-time job. So by the grace of God, we found a way to balance it. But also because everything is intertwined in our lives, you know. So we are proactive. The time that it was a bit hard was when, for example, our first daughter, when we were raising her, you know, that you had to just do some things at certain times and everything. But you know, as she's growing up and everything, you know, everything just
There's
kind
more
of
flexibility.
everything falls in place. You know, so I think more of the challenge for me, which by the grace of God, I believe I'm beginning to see excellent things that I'm going to be putting in place. More of the challenge for me is the productivity, because you know you can do more when you have a lot of hands on something as opposed to, because I edit, I mix the sound, I do the sound mix of all the shows and you know all those things. So And it's because I've not seen the right, perfect person for each of the things. But as I look out and I see them, so what I think has been missing is because we can be putting out more videos. There's a lot of shows that we've gone for that is not out yet because I've not had time to do it. Like, there's a lot of people that want to do birthday shout-outs, but I'm not available to do that, you know. So when I put that team in place, there's going to be more productivity, more profit to go around the team and everything. So I think that is what is lacking now that I'm looking at sorting out. But in terms of family, is you know, that one I cannot play because that's also my happy place. That's my place of sanity. Sometimes I just shut down from Nigeria and just, you know, travel. And just be like, I don't want to do anything, you know. And thank God also because it's an enabling environment, like I said. So,
wow, that's good. Yeah, so the family helps and also finding the right team. Wow, this has been amazing. This has been insightful. If you've been inspired by this interview, please make sure you drop in the comments what specifically stood out to you. Like, what were some of your key takeaways from this interview? Wow, sir, thank you so much.
When I come again.
I'm sure. I mean, do you have any final words before we go for the viewers?
So find, I don't know how to put this here, but find your communication frequency with God. It will turn a lot of things around in your life. And when I say find your communication frequency, the only way you can find it is a private time. There's a unique way that you'll be able to talk to God, and that will be consistent. You would see a difference in your life. You would see a difference. You know, I took it very seriously. I took it more seriously from late last year. And I'm sure if you go back and trace my life from late last year till now, you see a lot of, a lot of things will fall in place when you find your communication frequency with God.
Wow,
You're one-on-one with God.
I love that. Thank you so much, sir. And thank you so much to all of you for sticking around this long. If you are new to my channel, like I mentioned, make sure you subscribe, turn on your notification so that you're informed when new and juicy videos like this come out. And make sure you also subscribe to Mr. EmmaOMG's channel as well. EmmaOMG. Yes, so many inspiration content.
Yesterday vlogs. Even if you don't subscribe to me, go and subscribe to my wife. Yesterday vlogs.
Yeah, but thank you all so much and love you all. And thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for
Have a
having
good
me.
one. Bye.
Bye. Wow.
Thank you so much.
That was so insightful. I said I only down if you get down. Nobody else.
Thank you.
Down is a